Azure Bastion is a PaaS solution that provides secure and seamless RDP and SSH connectivity to virtual machines through the Azure portal. Instead of exposing virtual machines to public networks, Azure Bastion sits within the same virtual network and uses a hardened gateway to manage connections. By leveraging the Azure portal, it eliminates the need for a public IP on each VM, significantly reducing your overall attack surface. Additionally, it simplifies administrative tasks by offering a browser-based client, removing the requirement for VPN setups or specialized client software. This ensures a secure and straightforward approach to managing VMs. When deploying Azure Bastion, it is essential to consider virtual network configuration established in earlier units, such as subnet creation and peering. Azure Bastion requires a dedicated subnet, named Azure Bastion Subnet, with a minimum size of /27, ensuring enough IP addresses for scaling. If multiple virtual networks are peered, Bastion can provide secure access across them, provided appropriate routes and network security rules are applied. This design integrates well with existing architectures, leveraging your subnet structures and public IP configurations. In doing so, Azure Bastion seamlessly becomes part of the broader virtual network ecosystem, minimizing complexity and enhancing security posture. Azure Bastion comprises several critical components that facilitate secure remote connectivity. The dedicated Azure Bastion subnet hosts the Bastion deployment within your virtual network. A public IP address is assigned to the Bastion service, simplifying browser-based connections from the Azure portal. Internally, Bastion creates a scalable platform that handles inbound RDP and SSH requests, then redirects traffic to the desired virtual machine without exposing it to the internet. Network security groups can be layered to refine traffic flow rules between Bastion and the VMs. These elements collectively deliver a strongly secured environment while preserving operational flexibility and reducing the risk of attacks. Implementing Azure Bastion involves a clear sequence of actions within the Azure portal or via scripts. First, confirm that your virtual network and subnet segments are appropriately sized, including the dedicated Azure Bastion subnet. Next, procure or create a public IP address resource to bind with Bastion for external access. Then, navigate to the Bastion service blade to initiate deployment, selecting the appropriate subscription, resource group, and VNet. Upon validation, Azure provisions the Bastion instance and configures the subnet. After successful deployment, you can connect to your VMs securely using the Bastion feature, without exposing RDP or SSH ports publicly. Within the Azure portal, configuration for Azure Bastion is streamlined. Locate the Bastion menu on your virtual machines, connect, pane, or the Bastion resource directly. Under Settings, you manage parameters such as IP allocation, session timeouts, and inside integration for usage monitoring. You may also adjust the assigned public IP, ensuring it meets your throughput and compliance requirements. If consistent with organizational policies, you can configure advanced firewall or threat detection solutions. By combining Azure Bastion with these network security layers, administrators maintain a single pane of control for connectivity, reducing potential misconfigurations and fostering a robust management experience. Azure Bastion operates alongside network security groups to restrict or allow specific inbound and outbound traffic. Typically, the Azure Bastion subnet is locked down to only permit the Bastion service, preventing extraneous connections. Administrators configure inbound rules to filter traffic from the Azure Bastion public IP to target VMs, and outbound rules to constrain data exfiltration. These rules do not alter the intrinsic Bastion gateway functionality, but reinforce a layered defense. In multi-tier architectures, you can apply distinct NSG rules that isolate application servers, database servers, and management hosts. This modular approach ensures compliance and helps reduce unauthorized lateral movement. Azure Bastion pricing is based on two primary factors: the hourly deployment cost and the data transfer rates. The hourly rate covers gateway uptime, while inbound and outbound data transfers can contribute additional charges, particularly for high-traffic scenarios. To optimize costs, organizations can automate Bastion instance usage by scheduling start-stop routines via Azure automation or templates. Evaluating usage patterns and aligning them with business hours is often beneficial. Furthermore, choosing an appropriately sized public IP SKU, carefully managing data-intensive operations, and exploring options like auto-scale are key strategies to strike a balance between operational efficiency and financial viability. When faced with connectivity issues in Azure Bastion, begin by verifying subnet size and naming correctness, as the required Azure Bastion subnet name is strict. Next, confirm the presence of the assigned public IP and associated NSG rules. If RDP or SSH sessions fail, check for a valid VM username and password or SSH key. Network route conflicts or custom UDRs can result in unexpected traffic flows, blocking Bastion connections. Additionally, reviewing logs and metrics from Azure Monitor can provide insights into session attempts, latency, and possible authentication failures. Ensuring Bastion's service health is also critical for uninterrupted remote connectivity. Securing Azure Bastion begins with strict rules in the Azure Bastion subnet, preventing unnecessary outbound or inbound traffic. Next, consistently enforce least privilege by granting minimal required roles. Administrators should rely on Azure Role-Based Access Control, RBAC, for domain-level or resource-level restrictions. Additional protective measures include multi-factor authentication for the Azure portal, shielded user accounts, and robust password or key management. Furthermore, continuous monitoring of Bastion usage logs in Azure Monitor helps identify anomalies, such as excessive login attempts. By combining these measures with standard network security best practices, organizations maintain a strong defense across both management and operational layers. Beyond basic deployments, Azure Bastion supports sophisticated features for complex environments. With cross-subscription or cross-tenant infrastructures, you can centrally deploy Bastion in a hub network for multiple spokes. Integration with Azure Active Directory-based authentication provides streamlined SSO experiences and granular access control. Additionally, you can automate Bastion deployments using Azure Resource Manager templates or third-party IAC tools, ensuring consistent configurations across dev, test, and production. Organizations subject to stringent compliance needs can incorporate Azure Firewall or third-party proxies for enhanced inspection. These features underline Bastion's adaptability, making it suitable for diverse organizational structures and security requirements.